All right, so I am happy to be able to continue the conversation, I should say, on district goals. For those of you who are listening and watching, there are a number of different type of goals a school district embarks upon each and every year. The superintendent has goals, all the administrators have goals. The Board of Education has Board of Education goals, and then we have district goals. The district goals are like, I often use this terminology, they're similar to a lighthouse that shines a beacon out for all paths, for all of the schools who are ships and the direction towards that light. And it's about setting aspirational levels of work that we need to do, and then everything else channels from there. That every person on their journey who oversees a department will turn around and say, these are my benchmarks, this is my data, these are the things I want to accomplish this year, and I'm using the Board of Education goals as that end point, as that guiding light to help direct my work this year. So I thank the Board of Education. It's not that they didn't set district goals in the past. These are just more explicit. They go on the website, like many districts do, to do that. So this year, we have a brief overview of what the goals look like, then the board discussion on them, and then it's the Board of Education's role to adopt the goals, and then they become district goals itself. So the first goal here that we have is, because nothing happens without money, is basically to develop a fiscally responsible 26-27 budget that supports a high quality and equitable education opportunity for all students. So a school district budget is really an educational plan. It outlines the resources, the tools, and the staff that are needed to accomplish what we set out to do each year. We should do in our work every single year, identify cost efficiencies. And this year, in particular, given what's going on with the federal government and what we're hearing, the constriction it will place on the state government, find ways to incorporate programs that are funded through grants into the general fund budget. So I know that is something Ms. McCoy and I have had a number of conversations on, and if anyone tuned in last spring, the Board of Education set that out as something very important to our work here in Ossining. So that's an example, of my draft of a suggestion of a fiscal goal. Should I go through them all and then we can have a discussion afterwards?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Great, okay. So the student equity goal. The student equity goal is to ensure continued support and articulation of the board's equity policy 0105. The policy holds the Ossining Union Free School District accountable for the achievement and growth for all students, and it commits to an inclusive, equitable, and welcoming school environment, a diverse and culturally competent and inclusive workforce, and prioritizes family and community engagement. If you take a look at our 4 pillars on our long-range plan, it exemplifies the student equity goal in many pieces and shapes. Examples of why it's important to highlight this very special policy is the work that Dr. Deely does in terms of her as Director of Student Success. We have regular, about 5 times a year, equity meetings. They are packed. They are so well attended. I know, Melissa, you're on that committee. You attend them. Annie, you've dropped by when people have time. It's a great thing, and you could see a lot of the work that takes place. Recently, they committed to doing public service announcements on this. They cover many different areas of this. One of the things that came up in one of the equity meetings I mentioned before was the stress of scheduling and how a student schedule can not create can create an unwelcoming environment for some kids when they approach attending school. They oversee a lot of the work that we do with the MBK program and our prestigious Ladies of Power. And once a year, there is on a Saturday. And if anyone is interested in attending and seeing all the artifacts of this policy and listening directly from students, I suggest you mark your calendars and attend that equity fair itself. We've asked Dr. Deely to give an overview, again, a presentation about the work that she's doing in support of this policy, and she's actually thrilled to do that and to give a presentation to the board and put together a report on it this year. Okay. Curriculum and instruction. We have 3 big ones, and again, these get articulated in different ways. The first bullet here speaks to what we've been doing for the past 2 years, taking a look at our long-range plan and each building developing SMART goals and taking a look at their data, their information from the different committees, the work that they've done all summer, and then putting together particular goals that will help them improve instruction and the relevance of our curriculum and academic programs. This year we'll give a special emphasis on the ARC program implementation as we completed 3 years, and it's great to just check in to see what's working on it, what's not, and to give the board a status report on that. We have a new board policy this year. That's why it should be in this. It's the curriculum review cycle. I want to thank the board for putting forth in their work that we're going to take an area of curriculum and instruction and basically put it through a lens of a program evaluation model. That model itself will call for an internal evaluation where we use guiding questions that come from tri-states and a number of the large educational associations, even from the state education department. And then it includes an external evaluation. We bring in consultants, we bring in people with an outside lens, we invite feedback from parents and from students to talk about what they feel are strengths of a program, and then importantly, what are opportunities for improvement in that. And the last piece of this is really what every school district should be doing this year, is taking a look at the state of New York's portrait of a graduate. This portrait of a graduate calls all of us to stop looking at graduation as passing 5 Regents exams and seat times, and really think about a larger scope of work. Are there different career and college pathways? Are there portfolios? Are there internship opportunities? Are there cumulative projects that children can complete in order to graduate? I will say that Ossining is one of 5, Maria, in New York State for the P-TECH grant.
Yes, we are 5.
Which basically was the mission statement of the P-TECH grant, or the foundation of it, comes from a study done by the Westchester County Economic Partnership Group, and taking a look at 4 industries that require a new workforce. It's medical technology, cybersecurity, computer science,
And medical information.
and then
Health information.
and medical information itself. So these were industries that basically put together a report saying that we need workers. So the P-TECH grant basically helps educate students. They will get career experience in these fields. They will gain college credit, almost 2 years of college credit, associate's degree
They will
before
complete
they
their
leave.
associate's degree.
Right, before they leave our high school, and they gain a ton of work experience in those
Absolutely.
fields. So I know New York State is looking at the 5 school districts in the state that have this P-TECH grant to see what our data looks like and how it's going. Right. Okay. Well, thanks, Alita. Was I behind? Am I clicking? I apologize. Thank you. Okay. All right. Oh, my goodness, a super important goal is our facilities goal. We have, for those of you who have been watched the past few meetings, we've been giving updates. We have a $210 million capital and improvement bond project, and the board in their work towards that requires oversight of me, of Alita, of Jared, to make sure that we are holding regular meetings, we're providing upgrades, and that we stay on time and on budget towards that. In addition, we have a number of capital projects as well. This year, if you've been at Brookside School, you can't help but miss the trailers and the dirt. We are doing a 2-story classroom addition to that building, right? So that's why that's highlighted as a goal, right? And community communication and community engagement. Again, I make my pitch for the communications committee if anyone wants to join. And basically, it's to continue to develop and foster community partnerships as outlined in our long-range plan. So those partnerships help support our individual students, support the diversity of their needs and of our students. And again, if you were at the Back to School event hosted by OPRIME, we saw our SEPTA community, we saw Open Door, we saw Neighbors Link, we saw so many community partners and students helping out on that. And this goal comes from the point that we all know it takes a village to raise a child. So we want to make sure that we maximize our community platforms with our parents and our residents to inform and engage with our communities in ways that help folks to understand. So it's through feedback this year that Nicole Reese put together a whole group of short calendars and announcements, even what we're talking about back to school nights. Those are all part of last year's goal and what we're implementing this year. And then the last goal basically is to take a look. It's an ongoing goal, but it's such an important one because the Board of Education is a governance agency, right? So it's a constant, which I appreciate, that the board holds retreats and brings in facilitators to help out, but it's to review, and the board now has a governance committee. It's basically to review their roles and responsibilities and build team relationships with the superintendent, with the executive council who are here, and establish clear roles on each of, clear understanding and shared understanding of our respective roles. And basically to identify what areas do we need to strengthen? What areas do we need to provide additional oversight or a different approach? And then in terms of the conduct evaluations, the board started its own self-evaluation. They, last year was the first time, I think, using Super Eval for the superintendents.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, second year. Okay.
Yeah.
So Super Eval, which are tools that are new, but again, trying to figure out, do they meet the goals of this Board of Education? And then this year, because it's a big ticket in the budget, to prepare for the 26-27 superintendent search process for OSNI. So those were the overview of the goals as I heard from the board, from our work together, and for the board to consider. Thank you